up with the lecture. Then you can have a break between this session when it gets over and you're left. Such request? Okay, fine. Anyway, this is, I understand, an online mode of learning, right? So you tend to take breaks as and when you need, right? So screen with you, right? Please make sure that you have a notebook and a pen handy with you, right? Last week we did not have any session from my portion because we had an extra session before it, right, in the second week, and then we had a holiday. So this presentation has been titled Week 3-4, right? Let's begin with where we had left. Okay. So, if you remember, 1 week back we had discussed common sub-expression elimination techniques, right? And we know that it is one of the optimization techniques, right? So, we had introduced ourselves and we started off the subject, right, from that point. We are supposed to do in common sub-expression elimination is that we have to eliminate the second and the further occurrences of certain computations, okay, certain expressions, okay, you don't have to calculate them multiple times, okay, if it is calculated once, right, then the further or subsequent computations are to be eliminated. That is what we do in common sub-expression elimination. So the major task over here would be to identify the common sub-expression, right? Only then we will be able to eliminate it. Now we know that the optimizers divide it into two phases, global and local, right? So local sub expression elimination, okay, common sub expression elimination is done inside the basic block for each basic block, if at all there is any common sub expression, and then once that phase is over, then we go ahead with the global common sub expression elimination, right, which is done across the entire flow graph. Now we had seen that this process requires us to have a set of expressions which we call as available expressions, okay, and to find which expressions are available expressions, we had seen that we are supposed to determine these two sets, eval and fill. Okay, so eval is the set of expressions that are evaluated inside a particular block and then they are still available at its exit, right? So none of the operands are getting modified. That is what we had to take care of. And then kill was a set of expressions that were killed in the block. And if you remember from previous session, right, for this given flow graph, right, which we had as an input, right? We have basic blocks over here, right? The whole flow graph is ready. And from for this particular flow graph, we found out which are the eval set for every basic block, and then we found out the kill set. I do hope that you remember this part. These slides have already been shared with you, right? So this you may be knowing, right? Now, next is this equation system, okay, that we have seen. Now it will be used, okay, to find out the inset and outset, okay, of expressions that on entry and at exit from a particular block. So for each and every block we are supposed to find inset and outset, okay. So we had stopped with this slide in last session wherein we had an equation discussed, okay, outset is to be found and how the inset is to be found. Repeating it once again for those of you if you have forgotten, right? So outset is for a particular block, I is the block, right? It is the union of all eval sets, okay, so you have to take an union of all eval set, we will call it capital U, right, and then you have to take a difference of that with the kill set for that particular block, okay, kill of I, then you get the outset, and the inset is the intersection of all the outsets of the predecessor, right? Because we have a flow graph, so we know which are the predecessors and which are the successors. Okay, so we have to be careful. Okay, when we are looking at the inset or when we are finding out the inset, we have to take an intersection of all the outsets of the predecessors, right? So if an expression is available, okay, this is what we are trying to find out, correct? So if it is available from all predecessors, right? So that is why we are taking an intersection, right? Then that expression goes into the inset, available to all. Right, now let's quickly look at this algorithm, right? Um, so if you have gone through this algorithm, right, then understanding would be clear. So let me just trace it out for you. Okay, what we have to do first is, first and foremost, when we are applying this iterative algorithm for computing the available expressions, what we have to do first, find out the outset for all the blocks. Okay, find out the outset for all the blocks. Okay, it is u minus kill of that block. Okay, so kill set of that block is known to you, u set is known. Okay, so this can be found out. Once that is done, then we go for the iterative path of this algorithm. Now what does it say? Right, we are taking a flag variable called change. Okay, so whether we want to whether we are noticing any change in the previous iteration, right? If yes, then change will be equals to true, right? And if no change is found, okay, then we can stop the process. Okay, then our iterative algorithm, okay, then it can come out of the iteration. Okay, now let's see what we have to do over here. Same formula as we learned in the previous slide is used, but it is used iteratively, right? We have to continuously check till the value of change is false. Okay, so if no change is there, then we can safely come out of the loop. Okay, so we what we do for every block, okay, in one iteration, what we have to do for each iteration, each block you have to find out the inset and the outset. Okay, so what we do over here, we find out the inset, which is obtained by taking an intersection of the outset of the predecessor, right? Then we save the value of the outset of b. Outset of b we have initially found for the first iteration, also it is available, right? You can see in the first line of the slide, right? First line of the algorithm says that. So we will save it into a set calling it old out, and then what we are going to do is we will compute the outset again. Okay, so this is what we have to do. Now applying this algorithm for our example, right? So I would advise you to follow the slides as I'm explaining, and if possible, try to do it on paper yourself as well, right? Because in examination, examples are asked, okay, from this topic, so you will have to have a good speed of computing the intersection, union, and difference of sets. Okay, and if you make a mistake, obviously in any of the steps you may end up not getting the correct answer, right? So you have to be very careful. See, it's not difficult, but it requires a thorough follow of steps. So now, as I told you, first step is to calculate out I, okay, for all the blocks, right? So what we are required for out, we need to find set u and kill off all the blocks. Okay, so I have put that into the slide, so you can just quickly copy it down if you wish, right? So U is the union of all eval set, right? So if you have the computation from previous session, okay, you can just use it right now, right? So A plus B, A into C, D into D, C greater than D, and I greater than 10. Okay, these were the expressions into our union of eval. And kill sets also we knew, right? Kill of actually B1, B2, and B5. Okay, apart from that, all of them were null. Okay, any questions up to this? This is what we had done in the past. Now this is what we are using into our algorithm. Okay, so if this is done, right, then I'm changing the slide, okay, and moving on, okay, for computing the outset for all the blocks. So for that, what we have to do, u minus kill of that particular block. Okay. So do it on paper, right? Do it on in your books and see if you are getting all these answers. Right? You will definitely get, okay, and just compare your answers, okay. So out of B1 will have only one element, A plus B. Out of B2 will have four elements, A plus B, D into D, C greater than D, and I greater than 10. Okay. Now, uh, out of B3, B4, B5, and exit, okay, all of them will be the same set U, because there will be no element of U, okay, which we are going to take a difference of, okay, which is present in kill, okay, but uh, uh, we are removing it from U. Okay, so there is no such element. Fine. So I think up to this it is all clear, right? Moving further, now we are going for the iteration. Okay. So now we are applying the algorithm for I equals to entry. See, I is going to change for the entry block, then B1, B2, B3 up to exit. Okay, we will take all the blocks, right, one by one. So now see over here, in set of I, when I is our entry, okay, it is the intersection of all the out which are its predecessors. But because entry has got no predecessor, okay, this set will be an empty set. Okay, it will be 5. Getting this? Right? So in of entry is 5. Now taking the next block. Okay, so now when I equals to B1, when I equals to B1, what we have to do? In of B1 is what? The intersection of all its predecessors. So if you look at the flow graph, right, we have an edge from entry to B1. Following this. So entry becomes the predecessor, and then because out of entry is 5 as we calculated over here, right? So that is why this is also 5. Okay, see over here, out of entry, we calculated it over here, it is 5, correct? So that is why over here the value is also 5. Now, what is old out of B1? It is out of B1. Initially, we have not recomputed the value. That we are doing it in next step. Okay. So, what is the out of B1? It is A plus B. Right? We had seen in the previous slide. And you can also see in your books if you are calculating it right now. Okay. Now what we have to do, we have to apply the equation for out of B1. Now we are computing it using the iterative algorithm. So what it says, eval of B1 union in set of B1 minus kill of B1. Okay. So I have given the entire set representation over here. Okay. And finally what we get is out of B1 is having three elements, A plus B, A into C, and D into D. Now what we observe that old out of B1 is not equal to out of B1. Okay, so there has been a change. So change equals to true. So we will definitely have to go for one more iteration. Are you following this? All of you, this is what our iterative algorithm says, right? Which we are following. Okay. So all of you are getting the value of out of B1 as in the slide. Now try to go for I equals to B2. Okay, please try to go for I equals to B2, right? I'm changing the slide so that you can keep it as a reference. Okay, now for the next block, okay, see if you follow the flow graph, right, you will have a copy of it, right, if you have done the example from the first step, right? Then you can see that there are two edges going into block B2, right? Basic block B2 has got two predecessors, B1 and B5. Sorry, yes, B1 and B5. So we have to take an intersection of the outside. Correct, Hina? Yes, you have got that, right? So it has got two predecessors. We have to take an intersection, correct? And when we take an intersection, this is the value that we see. Okay. Now, algorithm is as because it is iterative. Okay, same steps we have to follow for every basic block, right? So first take the outset, then compute the new save the outset into old out and then compute the new outset using the equation, right? So over here also we observe that both the sets are not same, right? So that is why change is equals to true. Okay. Can you try for B3? Right? Try for B3 and let me know if you have the set of inset and outset. Okay, no need to type the whole of it into the chat, right? I'm going to show it to you in the next slide. I just want to know whether you are all getting this and also you are doing it along with the explanation, right? So for I equals to B3, once it is done, you just tell me in the chat. Okay, I'm going to wait for a minute or two. No, we have to take the new value. See, let me show it to you in the example. I think that will be more clear. Yes, this is a typical case in B3. Okay, so see over here, okay, what we have is, see, um, once we have the new values, okay, actually we are going to store them into out of B2. Okay, so now out of B2 will have whatever value which we computed over here. See, here it has got three elements. So that is what we are going to use in the further step. Right. Okay. Okay, so now I'm changing the slide. Okay, wherever you are in the computation, just verify your answers. Okay. Now, when I equals to B3, we are considering the next block in the order, right? Then what we have is inset is out of B2, right? Because it is the only predecessor, fine. Then we retain the value of outset of B3 into a variable called old out B3, right? And then what we do over here is we are taking everywhere, like I mentioned, okay, we are taking the new values, okay, which we have computed. And this is the final answer that we have, okay, and what we see is change equals to true because the values of old out and new out, okay, that we have computed, they are not same. Okay. Uh, this example, okay, you can just tally the answer. Meanwhile, let me give you some more information, right? Like I told you, this topic I'm teaching from the book by Muchnik. In this book, this example you may if you have the book or if you have referred to a copy of it, okay, you might observe that this example is solved but all the intermediate steps are not shown naturally, right? So I have put all the steps, okay, even the simplest of the calculations have been shown in the slide, right, so that you can use it for further reference, right? And if at all you have missed out on any detail, okay, then it can be verified, right? So this is for B3. Now moving ahead to the next block, B4. Okay. Now predecessor of B4 is B2, and these are the sets that we have found. Right. And same way we will do for B5 and B6. Okay. So for B5 also I'm doing that, right? Over here it is a typical case because B5 has got edges coming from B3 and B4. Okay. And same thing we are going to do for exit, right? And because there is no block after exit, because that is the last block, okay, so that is why if you don't compute out of exit, okay, it is fine because it is not going to be of much use to us, fine. But for the sake of completion, I have just completed that step as well, but it is not necessary, right? So in examination you can safely skip computing out of exit, okay, because why waste time calculating one more set? Okay, so these are the sets, right? Let me give you all some time, right? Maybe 2 3 minutes for you to finish up to this, right? And finally you should have, okay, these values of outset. Okay, these values of outset you should have, okay, because we are sure that we have to take a second iteration, right? Because change equals to true has been observed in every step, right? For all the blocks we have observed that, right? So these are the values you should get. Okay, quickly tell me in the chat if you are getting these values. Now, see, you may find that this is a very lengthy task, right? But for the computer, it is not. Okay, so once you have an iterative program written, right? And also in the book, for those students who just want to go a little one step further, right? The iterative subroutine, or we can say routine or steps in programming language, okay, are given in the book, okay, which follows the algorithm, right? So if those are implemented, okay, you can have a computer program that does all these tasks for you, right? But as we are learning how a compiler behaves or how it is constructed, okay, so that is why we are expected to compute all these steps by hand. Okay, and that is why you may find it time consuming. But for the computer, because it has got computing power, okay, um, it's quite fast. Okay, just give me a minute. Right, so do you have all these values of outset? Okay, thank you, Indrali, for confirming that you have done it. Okay, that's good to know. What about the other students? Okay, I would like as much participation possible. Okay, I'm not having really much high hopes. Okay, but at least the students, okay, which I know are doing, okay, at least those of you, if you are able to respond, Okay, then it would be good. So actually what happens is when we start the next iteration, okay, we again have the set of out, right? So in first iteration, right, when we started off for the very first time, we found out the values of out set. Again over here, we are having the values of out set, which we will use to compute in set by looking at the predecessor for every block, right? We will retain these values into sets called old out, right? And then we will compute the new out for every block. Fine. So let me just walk you through the steps, right? Then if you want, you can do it at your own pace, right? But at least first iteration, if you have done it over here, okay, means with the class, correct? Then you know that what exactly you are supposed to do. Okay. So let me just begin with the next iteration, right? Okay. Do you want me to wait for you all to calculate the first iteration? Okay, fine. So let's go ahead with the second iteration. Right. So second iteration of the algorithm for I equals to entry. Right. It is always going to remain 5 because it does not have any predecessor. Fine. So out of entry we already have over here. In we are calculating. Correct. Now moving further, right? As such, if you don't find out for entry, it is okay, right? Because it is always going to be 5, right? But for the sake of completion, we will always show that step. Now for B1, okay, we know that its predecessor is entry, so we find out the inset and the outset. Now over here, okay, this is a relief that outset previously and the newly computed outset, they both are same, right? So then there is no change. So if you don't have any change for all the blocks, then the iteration process is going to stop. Wherever you see some, so moving further for the next block, right? Same steps we are going to, right? Again over here, we know that B2 has got two predecessors, one B1 and B5, right? So over here, we will take its intersection for inset, right? And outset, we will take the old value and then once again, we will recompute the value using our formula, right? Again over here for this block, okay, we are not having any change because the values are same. Okay, so it's very good for us, right? Now let's see for the next block. Okay, but I have already done all these calculations, right? You will have to do if an unknown flow graph is given to you or you are given a code whose flow graph you have to make and then go further with this process. Okay, so you will have to check, right? And then if you are able to have this conclusion, then there is no change if the values are same. Same thing for B3. Okay, again over here we are able to observe that value is not changing, right? Of the outset. For B4, same scenario. For B5, also same scenario, right? And for exit, okay, practically we don't have to do much, right? And over here also we are observing that in second iteration there is no change. So what happens after this? There is no change in the outset, okay, for any of the blocks. right? Even if you are having a change for one of the blocks, you will have to take the whole iteration again, right? But if you take one more iteration, say suppose, let's see, it's not happening over here, but let us assume, right, that for B5 there is a change in value. Okay, we are not getting exactly the same set. Then when you take one more iteration, I'm sure you all will realize, right, that the values for the remaining blocks will be the same. Okay, so though you have to compute it, okay, because the algorithm asks us to do, okay, but it will give you the same value. Okay, now over here with second iteration for this particular flow graph that we have taken as an example, okay, we don't have to take any further steps, okay, and the final values of entries, okay, are available to us. Okay, so no further iterations are to be done, and this is the final value. These final values we are going to use, okay, in the next step, okay, which is the concrete algorithm, okay, that we are going to apply. Okay, so this is what we have obtained. Okay, what we have obtained over here is for the whole flow graph. Okay, we have found out what are the available expressions. Okay, previously what we did, okay, when we if you remember, we had taken one example in which we found out AEB set, but that was local available expression, local to the block. Now this what we have done is for the whole flow graph. Are you getting this, everybody? Okay, so we have taken the whole flow graph into account and found the value. Now what we will do, now the actual global common sub-expression elimination algorithm, okay, will play a role. Okay, and right now we are assuming that local common sub-expression elimination has already been done. But if at all it is not done, okay, which you, if you are interested, okay, you can do it for your practice. That the quick sort example which we had taken, okay, to find the basic block, for that same example we had constructed the flow graph. Now you can try to apply common sub expression elimination, okay, to that flow graph, okay, for your practice, right? So what you can do, you can apply local common sub expression first for each and every block and see if there are some common sub expressions locally which you can eliminate. Then apply this algorithm and see, okay, how you are able to go about it. Okay, so that you can do for a practice, right? That I will not be discussing in the class, but if you are able to do that, okay, it means that you have a good command over this topic. Fine. So let me just continue with our example whose set or in sets we have calculated. Correct. Now let's see that available expression function. Okay, what we are going to use and how it looks like. Okay. So first and foremost, I will walk you through the procedure and then we will see its application. This procedure is word to word from the book by Muchning. Okay, so if you do not have the copy, this is the exact procedure, okay, which I have just taken it and put it into the slide. Now, for each block, the expression that is part of A, E, in of that block, okay, is evaluated in the block. Okay, so the available expressions naturally are going to be they are going to be evaluated in that block, right? So now locate the first evaluation of the expression in block I, right? Then search backwards from the first occurrence to determine whether any of the operands of the expression have previously been assigned to in the block. So if they have been assigned in the block, then it is not a global common sub expression. Okay, then you have to go to expression. Or if that block is over, you will go to the next block. Fine. So for a particular block, you will just take all the expressions one by one. Okay, and that you will take it from the in set that is available. Okay. Now what we will do, say suppose we have found the first occurrence of the expression in the block, okay, and we have determined that it is a global common sub expression. So now what we have to do, we have to go for the procedure for eliminating it, right? So what we will do, sort backwards in the flow graph to find occurrences of the expression such that the expression, okay, has been assigned to some variable b. Okay, it is of this particular context, right? The expression you are able to find on the left, okay, and it is assigned to some b, some variable, right? And because of that, okay, it is present in our available expression set. Okay, so that you have to search backwards in the flow graph and find out. Okay, these are final occurrences of the expression in their respective block. Okay, and each of them must flow unimpaired. Unimpaired means none of the operands should be changed, right, to the entry of the block, and every flow path from the entry block to that particular block. Okay, we have to consider all the blocks, right? So to that block must include at least one of them. Okay, then we will have those set of expressions. Fine. Now what we will do, we have to take a temporary, right? So now we have identified that, okay, it is a common expression. So what we will do, we will store its value into some temporary, right? And then all the further steps wherever we had seen it, okay, we will just use that temporary variable, okay, t of j, right? It will change every time we create a new temporary variable. So same thing what we had done for local, okay, this we are applying to the entire flow graph. Fine. I hope this procedure is understood. Now we will see it being applied into our example. We are applying the procedure to the given flow graph, right? So we will start block by block naturally. So for entry in satisfy, for B1 also in satisfy. Okay, so there is no expression suitable for global common sub-expression elimination in B1. So there is no change into our flow graph. Let me move further to the next block. Okay, now let's follow this very, very carefully. Okay, in B2, see what we have, the inset of B2 has got these three expressions, right? A plus B, A into C, and D into D, right? So we will consider one by one. Okay, so A plus B, it is belonging to the available expression inset of B2, and it is found in B2, right? It is there in B2, correct? See over here, we have an assignment, A plus B is assigned to F of I, right? And in that same block, A and B have not been assigned previously, right? There is no change in value of A plus A or B, right? Now go backwards, okay? Go backwards and see where we are finding an instruction in which we have A plus B. Okay, you have an instruction in block B1, right? So what we have to do, replace it by T. T1 is assigned A plus B. Okay, A plus B is assigned to T1, right? And C is assigned the value of T1, and the instruction in B2 we are changing. Okay, we are replacing A plus B with T1. So I'm changing the graph. These are the changes that we have made, right? Okay. Now, moving on to the next two expressions, okay, but these two expressions are not there in the block, okay, they have come from B1, right, but they have not been, they are not evaluated in that block, okay, so for those two expressions, A into C and D into D, we don't have to do anything, okay. Now, for block B2, the matter is over. Okay, all the expressions in the inset we have considered. Moving further for B3. Okay, now look at B3. B3's inset has got three expressions: A plus B, A into C, and D into D. Okay. Uh, okay, I think I have made some mistake in typing, right? A into C is found in B3. Okay. Uh, See, A plus B is not there in B3, right? A into C is found in B3. Okay, so what we have to do? A into C, okay, it has already been computed previously, right? And we have to see that for every flow path, okay, whether we are able to get that value or not. Okay, so over here, if the path followed, okay, it will always go from B1 and then only we are going to reach B3. Okay. Okay. Yes. So for B3, okay, let us just, I have not that added that into the slide. So let just keep it as it is. Okay. For A into C, what we are going to do, okay, just let's keep that on hold. And D into D, okay, it is not there in, it's not computed in this block. Okay. So that will safely be skipped. Moving to the next block, okay, we will just leave that one expression for now. Okay, there is some mistake that we will sort out. Now A plus B, okay, it is not found or it is located, it's not located in B4. A into C is also not found or located in B4, but D into D is found in B4. Okay, so what we have to do, we have to take a temporary, right? Because it is found, so naturally we will have to take a temporary. So let's see, okay, what we will do, we will have to check whether it has been assigned in the block or not. So yes, D has been, it has not been assigned, okay, D into D, right? So then what we will do, go and search, okay, in previous blocks. So what are the previous blocks? B2 and B1, which we have already considered, right? And what we find that D into D, okay, it is observed in B1 block. Fine. So what we will do, we will take a temporary, right, and make the necessary substitutions. Okay, going good so far. And now for the next block B5. Okay, so this is what we have made as a change. Okay, and now for B5, okay, um, in the inset, okay, whatever expressions we are having, but they are not found into B5. Okay, so we can safely skip them, right? All of them, because we don't have to do anything, right? Now, regarding this one, B3, okay, uh, I have not added into the slide, okay, I will add it when I share it with you. Okay, the reason why we are not taking a temporary of A into C is, we have to remember one condition, that if it is found into our block, okay, then we have to check if any of the operands have been changed or not in any of the flow. Okay. Now there are two operands, A and C. Now if you observe very carefully, okay, one of the operand is getting changed. Can you spot it out where it is? Which operand in block B3's expression, okay, more specifically we are talking about A into C. Yes, C is getting changed in B2, right? Very correct. So if an operand is getting changed, okay, then we don't have to do anything about it. Okay, so it is found in B3, but because the operand, one of the operand is getting changed, okay, so that is why we will not consider it as a global common sub expression. So if it is not a common expression, then there is no uh, step for eliminating it. Okay, so I will just add this over here into the slide when I share it with you. Okay, so it is clear. Fine. So Hannah and Priyank have answered, but I hope everybody in the meeting is getting this. So finally, with all these changes, okay, what we have is, once we have considered all the blocks, okay, we have this final flow graph in which locally as well as globally all the common sub expressions have been eliminated. Getting this? Any questions? Now, next thing, okay, next kind of optimization we are going to see is copy propagation. Okay, now copy propagation again will happen, or we will be doing it, or rather other word compiler will be doing it in two phases, local and global. Okay, so this is a new topic, right? So before I just give you an introduction, right, we will take it forward in the next lecture, right? But so far, if you have any questions, okay, I'm giving you all a minute, like you tell me very quickly if at any stage you find that you need further explanation. Okay. Yes, so the process is very easy to understand. Okay, once you know how to do it, okay, it is very easy. Time consuming it is, okay, so I hope that you do sufficient practice so that you have a good speed, okay, in doing the example. So shall we take an introduction to the next topic, right? And then you can go for your break. So copy propagation, okay, what it is, let me just tell you what it is, right? Because when we discussed the list of the list of machine independent optimization transformations, okay, we had not mentioned this name, right? And in practice, this step is done before uh, common sub expression elimination. Okay, that would be quite advisable, okay, to do so. So let's see this technique, right? So what it says, if we are having some assignment, y is assigned to x, right? And later, okay, wherever we are using the variable y, okay, into our code, if we use x, right, then it is okay, because if the value of either x or y is not getting changed, okay, right, then it is going to contain the same value. So what we are doing, if we have made a copy of a variable, okay, we would just like to go for its propagation. Okay, so that value will propagate throughout our code. Okay, simple enough, right? This thing, okay, now you will be able to visualize, right, that if you want to do this, you can again do it into two phases. You can do it locally into the basic block, right, and then you can also apply it to your whole flow graph, right? You can apply it globally also, right? So this is what we will learn. We will see the algorithm, how to go about it, okay, proper steps, so that we do not miss out anything, right? Because our human brain, okay, if you are given some code and if you are asked to go for any of the optimization techniques, okay, we can think, right, but we have to train the computer, we have to teach the computer, okay, to do that for us. Okay, so that is why we need to have some predefined steps, okay, and that is what we are going to learn. Okay, so let me show you a very simple example over here. Okay, we have made an assignment of A to B, right? So what is B containing? B is containing the value of A, right? So wherever into our program, if the value of B or A is not changing, okay, we can simply use A, right? We can simply use A, right? So see over here in B1, we have an assignment A to A is assigned to B. Now, if you observe on the right hand side, okay, we see that values in B2 and B3, the expressions have been changed. Okay, even in B1 also, after that statement, okay, wherever we are using B, we have changed that value to A. Okay, we have changed the variable, instead of using B, we are using A. Okay, so this is copy propagation. Okay, so it seems straightforward, right? The only thing that we have to be careful about is in between. Okay, anywhere the value should not change, right? If the value is changed, then we cannot say that it is same thing, right? It is not a copy, and then we don't have to propagate it. Okay, so this is a very simple example that I have showed you, right? Now, copy propagation, like I mentioned, it can be done in two phases, or some of the compilers may accomplish it in a single global phase also. Okay, so they may just do it in a single pass, or they will divide it into two phases. Okay, local and then global. Now, we have this is an example, okay, which I will discuss in tomorrow's class, right? Because I do not want to take a break. Okay, you can safely take a break now, right? So we will start from this example in tomorrow's lecture. Okay, so I hope the basic idea of copy propagation is clear to you, right? And once you have that idea, okay, going about the example will be very easy for you. Okay. So with this, I conclude the session, right? So if you have any questions, quickly ask in the chat, or you can take your scheduled break. Thank you, everyone.